Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of The Best of Jane Bond by Mike Hubbard. Jane Bond from the 1960s and from Princess Tina. From the pages it says of Princess Tina. You can see the details on the back. It's swinging 60s, though I must admit it doesn't have much of the swinging 60s, but still, quite a lot of it is set in Europe, so it's not actually the swinging 60s of London anyway. One spy standing between crime and world domination. Her name is not the usual suspect, Jane Bond. Doesn't even say, but still. Secret agent, finest spy in world pole. I guess they have a different numbering system maybe there. But still, from fighting school of supervillainesses to foiling plans of them, there's a lot of different stories in here. Melt the Arctic ice caps, very topical. And also to escape the clutches of the giant mechanical lobster. Not so topical maybe, but there's a shortage of dangerous missions. There's no shortage either. Must undertake for Queen and Country. Collection of campy espionage. So you got the sort of general gist of the story from that. And it's by Mike Hubbard. Artist of the iconic Daily Mirror strip Jane. So there's a certain style, similar style you can see in the artwork. There's the details. Treasury of British Comics, Rebellion, and there's the ISBN number. And you can see 1499. And it says there again, from Princess Tina. Now, unfortunately, it's the best of, so it doesn't include everything, and I hope maybe there might be a volume 2, but it doesn't put on the spine a number 1 or anything. It does indicate that maybe there isn't. But of course, if the book's a success, maybe they'll bring out volume 2. Who knows? Can only hope. 96 pages, just come out, obviously readily available on their website. Also, of course, on other sites as well. And you can see the sort of artwork. I love this back bit actually. The back's very nice. Now, if the artwork had been all the way through that quality, that would be brilliant. I really loved it. It was very easy to read. Great stories. The stories are great, and I will obviously show a few examples. You can see it's black and white all the way through. Most of it. There is a bit of colour. There's a little bit, because occasionally they did have occasional colour page. As an example. Strange enough, the actual picture on the back as well. Though you can see it's actually been different colouring, and obviously slightly different colouring, just a bit different from there, but still I think that's really nice. Nice to include at least one page that's super colourful. Now I don't know if that was from maybe a different source. I don't know if the original was this colour. I mean obviously but apparently there was a coloured version, so I don't know if that's from that. No idea, because apparently there was a Dutch version that was brought out, a softback version, and its details are of course here. You can see there a soft collection of coloured Jane Bond, but of course when you actually see them here in the comic book Jane Bond, they're all in black and white as far as I can see. I had over the years a number of copies of these. Unfortunately I've only got one issue now along with a French edition, but they're all in black and white as far as I can see. And I'm just flicking through of course this collection of ones I've got in front of me of the Jane Bonds, all in black and white. So but most, there's another one, colour, typical. It's always the way when I say that it's all. And also sometimes it's like you can see change. That one's a very good one. I think that maybe, looks slightly later, maybe that was the Tammy one. Apparently there was one that came from the Tammy annual 1979. Unfortunately, there's no details in terms of the dates for the different issues. And I would have loved to have seen more dates. They never put that, when obviously the date, the top or something, it's sort of like 28th of January or whatever. But they're all 1968, 69, 70, that sort of period. And they do include the details there. But before I go any further, I want to show you an example of an actual Jane Bond from the magazine, obviously Princess Tina. Now, this is not an early one, or that early anyway. 1968, or maybe it was actually, I don't know. There, Jane Bond. And let's just go to that. So you can see Jane Bond there. And again, you had some beautiful artwork there. I'm really... And I have to say the problem with this, and I'm going to show you the reason I think one of the big problems, maybe I'm wrong, completely wrong, is look at the size. So this is slightly smaller than thing. And it's because of that, some of the artwork I think is a bit, again, another bit of colour. I'm saying there's not that much colour in it. There's some colour, obviously, on other pages as well. But you can see the artwork there, and it's been absolutely fine. It's totally readable. But is it as good quality as it could have been? I mean, of course, a lot of the artworks and things over the years from IPC have been lost. and I don't. Some of the pages have been still, but I'm not certain the sources of this and how they've been done, because it just seems at times when looking through this, and again, I don't know if some of these are from an annual or not, because you look at it, it's slightly different. These ones, obviously, this one, the space one, which is obviously not space one, but looks like a space one. Group of fanatics from melting the Arctic. It's actually a submarine, but it's just a space. Very strange. But still, the girl from Whirlpool joins the ranks there. They always put that as well across along the top as well. Jane Bond there. But again, let's just go back to the original one here. And again, you see the artwork there. And of course, my copy's slightly battered copy there. But it's, I think, slightly sharper because it's obviously a bigger scale. And I would love to have seen them bring this out in a sort of gallery-sized edition on really, really... something like the Ray Bradbury one that's just come out from Fantagraphics. Now, if it had been done on that quality paper, really high quality... I mean, okay, it would have been more expensive and maybe... but it would be nice to see this volume. Anything that's like Princess Tina, if they bring these sort of Princess Tina ones out, I think they really deserve a much better quality, page quality, as well as paper quality, I should say. And also, just keep it the same size, because as soon as you shrink it down, I think there's going to be problems with the line. And it's definitely noticeable when you go to this one, which I've got a French edition. And I'm not going to be able to put them at the same time, so my apologies. I haven't got an overhead camera. I don't think it would work here. I'd end up clonking my head all the time. I'm quite certain it would just be awkward. There just isn't the room. But still, because quite often people ask me about that. Right. Meet Jane Bond, all that sort of stuff. You can see there, you've got all the plans, you can see the operation, and I can't really make much out there. Operation something. Here she comes, crashing through with 1,000 drills. And you can see the camera, you can see the money, and you can see binoculars and all those sorts of things. And you can obviously see there, you've got the rest artwork, the Grand Prix. Now let's just go to the French version. This is in French. Sorry about that. I haven't got an equivalent. Now the French always do things amazing. I always love. And this one is an album Tina. I don't know where I got this. I think it was online. Not certain if I went on the eBay French site, but I just saw it and I thought, wow. And it was really going for cheap. And I thought, why not? Absolutely, why not? It doesn't worry me that it's in French. I can just about read it, just about work it out. Not exactly tricky to work out the stories. But here you can see the same artwork. And you'll notice a bit of a difference. Now maybe it's just purely the brightness or whatever. I don't know what the term would be for it. But you can see now, you can see operation, you can see the plan, you can even see plan 5. Now in the book all these things, it's a lot murky. You can see the passport there, you can see the money a lot clearer. It's just overall just so much sharper. And the line, if you compare the lines, they just look so much more lovelier. For me, anyway. If you're not concerned with that, if it doesn't really matter, it doesn't worry that you can see a line or not see the line, then it's not going to be an issue. I mean, it's another one, Princess Tina, and this is another Jane Bond. And you can see here, you've got her there. Yeah, John Sims, I think that one's in there. I will go to that in a sec. You can see there that, and this is obviously the front. I love that sort of the way it did, sort of a wash that they would use there. I think that's the term. And you can see the artwork there. So once you've got that, let's just go back to this one. Will I be able to find that one? There's always a way. Oh, there it is. Straight away, luckily. And you can see again the problem. It's slightly murkier, slightly darker. Maybe they could have just made that lighter, a bit lighter, and the rest, of course, keep it as is. Of course, it doesn't need. But again, I think when I compare the lines, it just doesn't look as sharp. Paper quality is really lovely. There's nothing wrong with paper quality, and there's definitely scenes that, of course, are very much of. You can see Jane, definitely. Not Jane, the other Jane. And actually saying, I wonder why Jane Bond obviously being Jane. No, there's no connection with, of course, Jane, the earlier Jane. But there's certain scenes when you look at some of it, you think, that looks very much like... And I have got one of those lovely collections of Jane. And some of the artwork, when you look through this, you can definitely see the same style, the same poses and things. You think, oh, yes, definitely the same. But it's still an absolutely lovely collection. great characters all the way through. This one scene, I just think, oh, can't show that one, but it's just odd. Yeah, this one, there's a bit where you obviously got all the paper or something running, going all over. I mean, that would probably not be very good for anyone. In fact, I don't think that anyone actually would survive that. Unless you were pretty superhuman. I think having loads... Now, someone would probably put a comment below. Of course you... Would you? I don't think I would actually have all those rolls of super heavy paper rolling over me, moan down helplessly. Jane knew no more. I don't think anyone would know any more, to be honest. I think that would be pretty... You would have to be very lucky to survive that. But of course, that's the case with all espionage stories, I guess. How many times does James Bond survive things that would be totally impossible in real life? I love James Bond as well. Actually, the one series I do love, and they're really worth checking out, there's lots of the James Bond, these strips from the 1960s. They are brilliant. In fact, I find them actually in many ways better than the books, and also, probably controversially, of course, better than the films. I thoroughly enjoy those strips. It's great to see them in that form. I just find them much easier to read and go through. But also the artwork was great. I thoroughly enjoyed them. They're really worth it. And also you can find them at next to nothing. Quite a few. They're still reasonably priced, which is great. But still, on to something completely different. The Afterword. And there's Jane Bond has it, blah, blah, blah. It's got all the details about meet Jane Bond, secret agent, etc. Born in the United States, apparently. Educated in Italy. Dressed by Zoir of Paris, etc., etc. And it turns around and says here, there's also, of course, it talks about Totally Spies, I should say. Great series as well. Sailor Moon also gets mentioned in here as well. This is by Claire Napier. Real nice. I always love this. I think it's great. I think this is one thing that I always love in all these books. Great essays. And people who are involved with it, maybe if they get people who are obviously the writers, whoever was, obviously sometimes so many years ago now, of course, that all these sort of information is lost. And that's why I love like magazines like Alter Ego. But still, this is a lovely collection. I really, really recommend this. If you're into this sort of espionage, spy stories, I think you'll absolutely thoroughly enjoy this. I mean, obviously, it's of its time and it's not going to be maybe for everyone. But if you're collecting these sort of ones, and I think Rebellion have been doing a great job. It's just a pity, I think, if they'd gone for this one, if they'd gone for the bigger size format, I would love to see. They don't all have to be this size format, surely. It would be nice. Princess Tina was a bigger format. They should have gone for a bigger format. Maybe it wouldn't have sold as well. I don't know. But it just seems sad to say that it's just slightly not as good as it could have been. That's the thing. Not as good as it could have been. But I still loved it. Absolutely still love it. Worth checking out. Obviously, picking up a copy. So, Best of Jane Bond. Lots of great stories, especially some absolutely daft ones with... That's a good one as well. Goes to Ireland there. And the deadly... Of course, you've always got the deadly... discover the hidden bomb in her car. The usual sort. Of course she does. Not much of a spoiler there, is it? Best of Jane Bond by Mike Hubbard. Really, really recommended. Brilliant little book from Rebellion / Treasury of British